All right, Broncos country. It looks like we are live, but you guys know the drill by now. We got to let the stream breathe for just a second here and make sure that everything is nice and stable all across the YouTube platform. Also, give just a second for some people to go ahead and start streaming in here. What's going on, Broncos country? Welcome into this Denver Broncos Syndicate live stream. This is sort of a test. I've moved into my new apartment. You guys can probably tell by the blank wall behind me. I haven't gotten the LED sign up yet or anything like that, but we're more importantly testing our new internet. Internet was a big problem over at our last place. Finally, we've got a more stable internet situation. So it seems that those issues of the past are finally behind us and we've got some stable internet. But I thought that this would be a good time to test out the live streaming with our new internet and talk about the event that I just spent a couple of days down in the Dallas, Texas area for, and that is the East-West Shrine Bowl. I was down there and I got to witness several players who could be playing for the Denver Broncos on Sundays. Let's go ahead and say hi to some people here. We've got Maverick in the house, as always, saying back to the old setup. Well, kind of. It's a new place, new blank wall behind me, but we're going to put the sign back up as we always do. I have the sponsorship with Whitebeard Signworks. Use code BS30 to save $30 off your first purchase on NFL LED team logo signs, by the way, from whitebeardsignworks.com. So we'll set that up here in the next couple of days. We've got Broncos fan in the house saying, I wouldn't mind another cornerback for depth. This class is so deep at running back. Hopefully we find a gem. Well, I'm going to talk about some of my top standout players for this event. And both of those players or both of those positions are on this list here. The corner that you described sounds like Strap Harris. Yes, he is actually the first player that I want to highlight. He's actually out of the same university as Strap Harris, and that is Coby Bryant, the cornerback out of Kansas. He was easily the top player from the entire event. He stood out and definitely rose up several teams' draft boards. He was awesome. He had multiple PBUs and interceptions in these practices. He had a perfect read undercutting a slant on day 2 for a pick. He's not afraid to get involved in run defense either. We see a lot of cornerbacks just get washed out in the run game by receivers who are blocking downfield. That is not the case with Coby Bryant. He is looking for that smoke in the run game. He's looking to make a TFL. He's not afraid to get in a dude's face either after he's won a rep against you. He's not afraid to get up and flex on you, but at the same time, he's also on the sidelines dapping up his teammates after they make a big play. He's still, involved with his teammates and all that stuff. And he's kind of that energy type of guy that you want on the sideline. You want a guy gassing up his teammates. You want a guy trying to get into the opponent's head a little bit by talking crap. And that's definitely what Coby Bryant brings to the table. And the Denver Broncos are in desperate need of more types of those kind of players. So, yeah, Coby Bryant for me would definitely be an awesome addition, even though it's not exactly a position of need for the Denver Broncos. I still think that if we get to the third round and by the time the Denver Broncos pick, if Coby Bryant is still there, then I could very easily see them taking him. He would be an easy instant upgrade over Chris Abrams-Draine at the backup boundary corner position. And I love me some Chris Abrams-Draine, but Coby Bryant would instantly be an upgrade over him. I believe Aqib Talib went to Kansas as well. Yes, he sure did. Boise State running back Ashton Genty. The Denver Broncos are definitely interested, but the odds that he is going to fall down to the Broncos at 20 is very low, just like Bronco fan says. The Broncos do like Genty quite a bit. That is the consensus vibe that I got down at the Shrine Bowl, but you're probably not going to be able to get him, unfortunately. So there are other players at the running back position that the Denver Broncos are going to have to do their homework on, because depending on Ashton Genty falling to you is probably not a sound strategy. And one of those running backs would actually be Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt out of Arizona. He's a guy that I really liked at this event. He's kind of an upgrade over Jaleel McLaughlin. He's like Jaleel McLaughlin on steroids. He's 5'11", 208 pounds, so he probably doesn't have the size or the frame to be an every down back, but he is a dog. He finished every single run, lowers his shoulder into contact. He's looking for that smoke and that contact. I actually got to interview him after the practices over at the team hotel, and he's told me that he's not afraid to lay the lumber on people, and he's not afraid to lower his shoulder and run through you if he has to. If there's one player between him and daylight, he is going to run through that guy. He's going to try to juke him, but he's looking for that smoke. That's the type of guy that you would love to see on the field on Sunday. He is a smaller guy, but he has good contact balance. He doesn't just bounce to the ground on the first hit. He's able to take some punishment as well as dish it out. He showcased good hands. He didn't double clutch the ball or bobble it or anything like that in the opportunities that he had to catch the ball. He did a great job catching the ball or tracking the ball, on a wheel route. Really good job seeing it come over his hands, and the quarterback dropped it in the bucket, but it was a great job tracking the ball there by Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. He's got an interesting story. He initially went to, I can't remember where it was, some small school. Then he went to the University of New Mexico, and then he went to Arizona. He had some issues with eligibility that left him off the field at various points in his career, and he didn't get to showcase as much on tape as he wanted to, but he definitely made up for that at the Shrine Bowl, and he got himself noticed by teams, including the Broncos. He told me that he did meet with the Broncos at this event. They had rooms at the team hotel where players could go in and they could meet with teams. So he talked to the Broncos. The Broncos clearly do have him on their radar. Another guy that the Broncos have on their radar, and it's another guy who is a position of need for the Denver Broncos, and that is Luke Lachey, the tight end out of Iowa. He comes in at 6'6", 247 pounds, seems to be a willing and able blocker. He talked about that in an interview that I got to do with him as well. He says he loves the game. He loves every attribute about the game, and he loves blocking. That is something that he has always enjoyed, and when you have somebody who's a willing and able blocker like that, you already have me intrigued, but he's also a good pass catcher at the tight end position. He seems to be a high football IQ player. He knows where to sit down in zone coverage. He caught a seam ripper for a touchdown on day one. So really impressed with him. And if the Broncos are unable to land one of the top tight ends in this class in Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland, then I could easily see Luke Lachey being a very intriguing option for the Denver Broncos in maybe the mid to late day 3, possibly rounds 5 or 6, somewhere around there. Another Iowa tight end that could come in and have an instant impact in the NFL. And Luke Lachey definitely was one of those guys that rose his draft stock there at the Shrine Bowl. Another big position of need for this Denver Broncos team is the linebacker position, and it seems that Denver is going to do a complete retooling at that position from top to bottom. Today, it was announced that they have parted ways with linebackers coach Greg Minuski. So whoever this new linebackers coach is going to be, he's going to need some new pieces to work with. Alex Singleton, probably not going to be back. He's probably going to be a cap casualty. Both Cody Barton and Justin Sternad are impending free agents. Probably the only guy in that room who is poised to return is going to be Drew Sanders. So he's going to need to have some more pieces to work with, whoever that new linebackers coach is going to be. And Chandler Martin, the linebacker out of Memphis, definitely stood out at the Shrine Bowl. He was a ball hawk. He had an excellent read for a pick six, undercutting a route from the tight end on day one. He's a high football IQ player. He sniffed out multiple screens and throwback screens, like this one where they tried to throw it back to the running back. He was all over it, and he blew up the running back, absolutely laid the lumber on him, sniffed out several outside runs, clogged some gaps on inside runs. He would be an excellent value pick for the Broncos. Again, another one of those day 3 type of guys. That's what you're going to find mostly in this event. You'll find the occasional day 1, day 2 guy, but this is mostly those day 3 guys, those priority undrafted free agents, those real diamonds in the rough that the Denver Broncos have done such a good job at finding. And Chandler Martin could be a guy that the Denver Broncos could get in one of the later rounds, and he could possibly step in and start for you day 1. Linebacker is kind of one of those positions that's sort of devalued in the NFL, so you can find some really good players in the later rounds, and Chandler Martin would definitely fall into that category. I now want to talk about a couple of other positions here where it's not the biggest position of need, but I'd still say it's a position of need. And I want to start off with the wide receiver position. I do think that the Denver Broncos could stand to add 1 or 2 more wide receivers, and I kind of have a couple of different flavors to choose from. Do the Denver Broncos want a smaller slot receiver, or do they want another bigger-bodied receiver to pair alongside guys like Courtland Sutton and Devon Vele? Let's start off with the smaller guy, and I know that Tez Johnson is very popular amongst Broncos country for obvious reasons. He's the adopted brother of Bo Nix. He was a college teammate of Bo Nix. He's got that chemistry with Bo, but if Tez Johnson is not available, or if the Broncos want to go in a different direction, and Maverick actually says here we need a route runner, this guy would definitely fall into the category of a route runner, and that's LeJohntay Wester out of Colorado. He's right here in your backyard. He's a small player. He is a peanut-sized receiver, 5'11", 167 pounds, but his route running is sensational. His cuts are clean and crisp. There's no lagginess or extra effort on his cuts. It all looks like it's very natural and fluid for him. He could be an excellent slot receiver. He's got good body control for his size, had an excellent toe tap catch on the sideline. Love to see that from him. He could be a guy that could put Troy Franklin on notice. Troy Franklin has been very disappointing here in Denver, and the Broncos, it seems we're going to bring in some competition for him, and LeJohntay Wester could be excellent competition. He could step in and be a starter at slot receiver. Maverick says that boy's shifty 100%. What about the other receiver from Ohio State? Yeah, that's definitely a possibility as well. I'm mostly highlighting guys from the Shrine here in this video, but I definitely do think that the Denver Broncos are going to be interested in wide receivers, and the Ohio State receiver, Emeka Egbuka, could definitely be one of those guys. But if they're looking for somebody who could be more of a value pick, LeJohntay Wester could definitely be your guy. But let's say that they want to add another bigger body. Let's say that they want another Courtland Sutton or Devon Vele type. Then let's talk about Isaiah Neer, the wide receiver out of Nebraska. 6'3", 220 pounds. He's got great catch radius. He went up and high pointed several balls using that big size, that big frame, those long, lanky arms. Good burst off the line of scrimmage for his size. He won several reps off the line of scrimmage against press coverage, was able to fight through that contact with his hands. I was impressed to see that. He had some really nice catches in traffic. My co-host on the 5280 podcast, Cam Parker, told me that that's been an issue for him. Parker is a big time Nebraska fan, so he kind of told me that's been an issue here for Isaiah Neer, and I do think that Neer was able to shake off a lot of those narratives at the Shrine Bowl. He was able to make some nice catches in traffic. I don't think I saw him drop a single ball, so that was really nice to see. Had a really nice head fake on a go route to sell that. Had good stop ability on a dime. So Isaiah Neer, if you want kind of a bigger bodied, big catch radius receiver, then he could be your flavor there. For the linebackers, I've been saying from day one, I've been saying Zach Bond in free agency. I definitely think the Broncos are going to be interested in Bond. He's got history with this coaching staff, with Sean Payton from his time in New Orleans. So Zach Bond could definitely be an option for sure. There are some other players that I want to highlight in the trenches, though. Always got to give love to my trench guys, and I've always said that you can never have too much depth in the trenches. You can never have too many good offensive linemen, and you can never have too many good defensive linemen. And a couple of guys in the trenches that I want to highlight are Jordan Phillips, the defensive lineman out of Maryland, and Holland Pierce, the offensive tackle out of Rutgers. Let's start off here with Phillips. He's 6'3", 320 pounds. super aggressive at the point of attack. He's got nice hand and footwork. He did a really nice job eating double teams in a stunt drill that they did, and the Broncos need guys who can eat up those double teams on stunts. I do think Jordan Phillips did a really nice job with that. He had a really nice rep putting the left guard on the ground, put him right on his ass, attacking his inside shoulder. So it seems to me that he understands leverage and what shoulders to attack and the weakness points against his opponent. So that's something that you really like to see. Jordan Phillips could be a really intriguing addition on the defensive line, depending on what they do with guys like DJ Jones. Do they want to bring him back or let him walk in free agency? Maybe Jordan Phillips could add some depth there. And Holland Pierce, the tackle out of Rutgers, this dude immediately stands out just from his frame. 6'8", 342 pounds, one of the biggest guys on the field in these practices. He's got good anchor and solid base. They were mostly playing him at left tackle in these practices. He had some really nice reps in kick-out blocks where he'd have to pivot his body. He'd keep his anchor. He'd keep his feet on the ground. He wouldn't get happy feet like Garrett Bowles would early in his career or like Frank Crum does now, where he just would get completely turned around. He has good length, so even when he does get beat by more athletic, speedy edge rushers with dip moves and spin moves, he's generally got the length to be able to put his arms out and recover from that. He's got a nasty mauler mentality. Anytime you have an offensive lineman who's described as nasty, that's always a good sign. And he's got insane play strength, which you would expect for a guy who's 6'8", 342 pounds. So Holland Pierce, if the Broncos want to add a depth guy, maybe a swing tackle, he could be your guy there. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this stream here. I just wanted to highlight some of my favorite players from the Shrine Bowl, and there's many more where this came from. There's plenty of other awesome players that were at the Shrine Bowl that are going to get their own videos, and some of these guys are going to get their own videos as well, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a preview of what's to come here in terms of players that the Denver Broncos could be interested in from the Shrine Bowl in the draft. We've now got the Senior Bowl this week down in Mobile, Alabama. I'm hoping next year I'll be able to travel out to both the Shrine Bowl and the Senior Bowl. This year it was only going to be one. I picked the Shrine Bowl because of all the CU guys down there, plus a little bit easier to travel down to Dallas than it was to travel to Mobile. But next year I'm hoping to be at both of them, and I'm starting to get addicted to this going on the road and scouting stuff, Broncos country. Really, really fun, and it was awesome to get a taste of that this year down at the Shrine Bowl. All right, guys, before we dip out of here, please be sure to leave a like on the stream as well as subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And the best part, my internet seems to be holding up flawlessly, guys. In this new apartment, finally got some decent internet, and it seems that that's no longer going to be a problem for us. Knock on wood moving forward. Thank you guys so much to Maverick, Bronco fan, Dylan. Yeah, thank you guys so much for being active in the chat as always. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.